because I'm paranoid, but like I don't know who's watching it, but it's just like I don't want it staring at me all day, you know? There's some dude on the other side like hacks into my camera like specifically to watch me during the day.
Yeah. The fucking FBI is just sitting there watching you play World of Warcraft for 9 hours.
It's like that South Park bit where the NSA is watching everybody in their bathroom to make sure they're wearing a seatbelt. It's just a guy jerking off the whole time.
Exactly.
Dude, okay, so I don't watch a lot of cable TV, but you know it's on at the gym. And today I didn't have my fucking headphones because I'm an idiot. And I was watching... Like, I was just, like, looking at the TVs. Can't fucking hear anything. Whatever. There's sports on one, a Mexican soap opera on the other. And, like, this commercial comes on. And it's a Febreze commercial. And I don't know what it is with Febreze, but I've noticed this, that, like, since the dawn of time, since Febreze was invented, every Febreze commercial has to have, like, a teenager in it that's just, like, disgusting. Like, that's how they advertise. They're like, is your son a gross piece of shit? Use Febreze. Like, every
your son wipe his ass with his hand? And you're like, sure?
I guess. But every commercial, like, they found their formula and they just stick with it. That's what they do. I love it. Yeah.
Every time I'm, like, home, my parents obviously still have cable, and it just reminds me of how horrible America is, that people just sit there and watch. Like, there was something called The Masked Singer.
Yep.
And I'm just like, looking
Such
around genuinely I'm just like, God, every time I turn it on, it makes me want to kill myself.
And then, like, I see some of the people they bring on, and I'm like, oh man, they must be pulling big names or something. And then they're like, and we have Demi Lovato.
You're like, what the fuck? She's still alive?
Exactly. It's like people that you don't even know who the fuck they are anymore.
Dude, before we get right on this, I have to tell you this quick story. I'll be fast with it.
Okay.
I went and played shot around the basketball because I'm a big time hooper now.
Yep.
After work today, I was craving a Gatorade. So I live in 5 Points in Denver, the area, and it's a goddamn shithole. And it's always like an opportunity to get stabbed, to go to a gas station, Safeway. The one by my house we call the unsafe way. But I went to this gas station to get a fucking Gatorade, and dude, I got hit on by like a thugged out cholo man.
Yeah, nice.
Like, he scared me because he kind of came up behind me, and he's like face tatted, neck tatted, and he's like, "Hey, Holmes." He's like, "You're fucking sexy, Holmes." And I was like, just don't fuck you or kill me and let me get out of this experience. So strange. Shout out Denver, you piece of shit.
Yeah, I think if your job ever goes south, you could be like the teacher that goes and like really connects with the inner city kids, you know?
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, a lot like Tupac and Biggie, and they're like, oh,
because I lived that life. Because I lived that life and I made it out. So
right, exactly.
All right, let's fucking run this shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Totally Biased Music, and we're your hosts, Blake and Christian. And, you know, I was at war for a little bit about which bit would I think is funnier. Would I think it's funnier to just completely not acknowledge Trey at all and pretend that he was never on the podcast and like edit him out of earlier episodes? And then we gaslight people into oblivion. We're like, where was Trey this week? And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's never been a Trey. Or should we rattle off a couple reasons that he's missing the episode? And I really think our creativity shines when we rattle off reasons why he may not be here. So I'm going to blow through a couple of those real quick. First one that came to mind, his CPAP machine stopped working and he choked to death in his sleep, I think is a good one that I can see happening. He was in Florida this past weekend, got too drunk, fell off a boat, doesn't know how to swim, drown. Christian, you got any you can think of why Trey may not be here?
I think he's sitting in his room listening in the dark to Don't Get Too Close, this new Skrillex album, just on repeat. Because it's literally an album for fucking sad boy simps. And that's what fucking Trey Seville is.
But here's the thing. He's staring at pictures of me and you. And he's like, can't get too close, man. Can't get too close.
I get hurt every time.
Okay, so this week we are reviewing 2 albums by Skrillex, a little double feature action. We were doing Quest for Fire and Don't Get Too Close. So he dropped Quest for Fire Friday last week, dropped Don't Get Close Saturday of last week. So back to back. The man who brought dubstep into the forefront of all of our lives, if you were in high school or late middle school in the time when he was dropping Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. His last release before this, 9 years ago, was Recess. So he's back. He hasn't had a full-length studio album since then. He has returned. The style is completely different. A lot about Skrillex has changed. He's done features, side projects, things like that in the interim. But he's fully back now with 2 studio albums, and it's interesting. I don't know about you, Christian. I obviously ran Quest for Fire into the ground in that 24-hour period. I listened to it like nonstop. And then Don't Get Too Close came out, and Don't Get Too Close, we'll talk more about it later, took a while for it to warm up for me. But they're both like, not only are they dramatic changes between one another for them being released so close, but it's just such a dramatic shift from him as an artist and what we kind of have known from him, what we grew up listening to, and what made him famous. So what were just like your initial thoughts upon listening to Quest for Fire? We can start there.
Yeah, it was really interesting how he did this kind of double release in the way that he did. And it's reflected in the streams already, which I just thought was really interesting to kind of do something like that. And almost you're promoting Quest for Fire in such a way that, you know, it's getting all kinds of publicity and running up. And yes, he did put out like a couple of tracks that were on Don't Get Too Close, but not really promoting that. And then just the way that he released it was really interesting to me. So like, y'all know, well, you know this, but our listeners don't. I used to religiously fucking hate on Skrillex. I couldn't stand like the sound. And it was mainly just like because I thought I was some rebellious kid. And this was like mainstream, like, oh, I'd found dubstep before Skrillex. Like, this is fucking gay, blah, blah. And so I used to work the festival circuit, and it was like 2014 or 15. I saw him at Lala. Was that 14 or 15, something like that? Yeah. And I had still hated him, but I had to work his set for like videography type stuff. And I remember having to wait backstage before the show, and he walked out to meet these 2 kids who were on had won a meet and greet. And fucking artists come through meet and greet bullshit. They fucking sign something they tell you really to piss off. He fucking sat down with these like 8 to 12-year-old kids for an hour, like pretty much up until his set started, and spent time like hung out with him. And that was like the first initial kind of change. Like, okay, we got to give this guy a chance. Yeah. And then his live set just fucking blew me away. And I was like, okay, I've got to really dive into his discography. And him taking the time that he has taken away from music, you know, whatever it was, whether it's to work on himself or whatever, it's an insane journey in terms of his progression. So like with Quest for Fire, I was truly just blown away, and it really just reconfirmed, because going back in his old discography, it's old discography.
Yeah, dude. Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites was 2011, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like old collabs and stuff like that. I didn't have a ton to go off of coming into this album other than just like his heavy shit, which I was like, I appreciated more, but I still wasn't a big fan of. Right. And it just reaffirmed for me how fucking good he is, and the production level that he is at, the evolution of his sound, the utilizing underground artists of a variety in different genres to create something that I thought was pretty amazing. I was really blown away from this. And I think the one thing I took away from this with Skrillex is you see artists put out music that is generally like regionally accepted. You know, it's like for UK, you've got like the fucking drum and bass, fucking All-Star Boys, like it's grind time shit like that. You got more popular, like poppy kind of stuff over here, but it's kind of all over the place. And listening to this album and the sound production, the sound design that he created in it, it is a globally accepted album. This is music that like you can pretty much go anywhere and play it, and people are going to resonate with some form of it. And I think that's something where a lot of large scale producers just don't have. And that's what blew me away the most.
Yeah, it's interesting. Skrillex is one of those guys like with electronic artists where there are some electronic artists, just have this ear and passion for music that you don't hear in other electronic artists. And I don't think up until now, Skrillex has gotten the chance to, he has done it in other albums. Recess, to a certain degree, had varying types of electronic music on it, right? But like with Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, like With You Friends, Long Drive from that album, 7 minutes long, slower, kind of builds over a long journey. Like, so he's had little showcases of what he can do musically, but the song he did with The Doors, the fact that he was in a band prior to being Skrillex, like I think that he just has this certain ear for music where it shines in albums like Quest for Fire, where he can kind of blend all these sounds that you could tell he's wanted to do. And I don't know how it was when you saw him in Lala. I saw him at Okeechobee in 2016, and I hadn't seen him live up until that point. And I went through I'm kind of the opposite of you. I had a really heavy Skrillex phase, and then it kind of faded away when I started listening to a lot of Bass Nectar. But I saw him at Okeechobee. He played the day before Bass Nectar, and I was fucking floored. Dude, the amount of electronic music he went through, he went from fucking drum and bass to dubstep to house music and with these rap samples that he brought in on top of it. And just like he used and transitioned everything so perfectly. Like that dude knows how to work CDJs like nobody else, dude. Like his transitions are fucking flawless.
That's what I think really got me into it. It was like, cause I'd listened to his music and it was great sound design wise, production wise. It was really good music, but it didn't like hit for me. And it was when I saw him live, like similar to what you're saying. I think his live sets are more representative of what this album is now, of his just like 100%. Journey through a different variety of music. And that's where I was like, holy fuck, he's not just playing like fucking Excision, like womps in my face the whole time. Yeah. And this album's really reflective of that.
Before we like launch into Quest for Fire specifically, he put out a series of tweets before the album came out. This was back in January, and I'm not going to read through all of them, but he talked about like 2022 being a really tough year for him. And he said, people ask why, quote, I've been gone or fell off, rightfully so. Like I said, 2022 was sort of my tipping point. I had to put everything on ice, especially my projects and career. The truth is I didn't cancel Sunset and Movement Festival because of my albums. It was because I was working on myself. For the first time in 4 to 5 years, I found a new sense of peace. It took so much work and sacrifice to get here. There's my B-Day tweet to y'all. Turning 35 for me was realizing that there are certain fucks you should not give. You'll be more free for that. Here's the 35 laps around the sun and to the fucks I will no longer give. And I think like that like shows kind of his mindset going into this project was like, I'm going to make the music I want to make. I don't really give a fuck anymore. Like y'all will either like it or you won't. And I'm going to create something that I wanted to create for a long time. And it really shows just the departure. And honestly, seeing the overwhelming, beautiful, like acceptance of this album and recognition of it and praise for it from everybody. I have not heard a single person say bad shit about this album, dude. Like even friends that I talk to that don't listen to electronic music are talking about how great it is. So I think it's great to just see that he's kind of gotten to this point and it worked out for him. So that being said, Quest for Fire, let's roll into it. What do you have for your top 3 tracks?
All right. So my first one is Supersonic. And the reason behind is, so I heard that song initially when it was originally just created by Josh Pan and Dylan Brady. And it's this really slow ethereal version of like what people know and hear is that Noisia Skrillex like remix of. So hearing that like evolution of that song, I love when that kind of happens with music that I finding something, then hearing it kind of evolve over time. And it's just something that has been fucking on replay for me since it dropped, which this came out. I think it was Noisia's album it actually initially released on. Their kind of like farewell album.
Yeah.
And it is just fucking insane. Let's see. Number 2 is, I hate to do the first track of an album, but Leave Me Like This. Just because for me, like not having some sort of crazy history with his discography and stuff like that, it really set the tone of like, this is where where we're headed, and this is what this album's going to be about. And I think it represented it perfectly.
Yep.
And then, man, I hate to do this one because of how much replay it's gotten, but Rumble.
Oh, dude.
Fucking bangs.
Like, you can't deny it. You can't deny it.
I truly thought I would get like annoyed with it as much as it's one of those ones that I was blasting out every fucking day.
Right.
But I had to put it on the top just because it hasn't. And then for honorable mention, I've got Hydrate and then Inhale Exhale.
Nice. Yeah, very nice. I really struggled picking a top three.
It was hard.
I love the album so much. Like, there's just so many songs that I fucking love off of it and enjoy. So, first one, and I don't have them in any particular order, but Rat Tat Tat or Rat Tat Ta, or however Missy Elliott says it. That fucking song with the Missy Elliott sample. Man, yes. That shit is straight. Just when it really gets into the song, it's just like, I'm fucking throwing that ass in a circle. You better watch the fuck out, boy. Like, just
and it's just got that throwback. It's Missy, baby.
Yes, it's fucking Missy, dude. How could you not fucking love it? So, and Shania even went to. I didn't realize it was the sample off of that really popular Missy Elliott song, and Shania was like, "Yeah, that's like a Missy lyric," and pulled it up and was like, showed me where the sample was taken from, which is fucking sick.
Like, oh shit,
yeah. Hydrate fucking goes in. That's like, and that really is like that's the fucking summer anthem right there, dude. Just the peekaboo, fucking the verses in it are sick. I just love everything about this song. It's really, really high paced, which I really enjoy. And then Supersonic, I agree with you. Supersonic is like the one song in the album to me that's like a hard song. Like, it hits fucking hard, and it just has that kind of like crunchy squeaking to it, and it's just like, it's weird. It's like if it were higher BPM, it would be like headbanging music, but it's like too slow for that. But it's a song you want to headbang to.
Yeah.
You can't like,
it's like slow headbanging.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that shit was really hard. And then like I put honorable mention, but it's like 5 other songs, so I'm not going to talk about all of them. But fucking Leave Me Like This. I also love Leave Me Like This. Like you said, perfect intro to the album, right? Brings people up to speed on like, hey, this is what I'm going for now. This is what the album's going to be like. Just get used to it.
And doesn't he sample Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites in it?
He does. In the second
which is just like this little ode. It's like, that's where we were, but this is where we are. It's so sick.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool. And then Still Here are the ones that I came with. I just love, like, to me, it brings on a meaning that he has with this album. Like, I'm wildly successful. I have 6 million followers on Twitter. I'm one of the most successful electronic artists ever. I'm changing my sound, but like, I'm still here with everybody that I initially was with. You know, like, he's brought along a lot of people for this journey, including his fans. So I just think it's like a cool message. And then you nailed it, Rumble. I mean, I don't get tired of Rumble. And when he plays it in that garage set, man, he opens it in the garage set, and it fits perfectly, dude. I love it. So, those are my tops. Then, a lot fucking harder is bottom tracks. So, do you have any bottoms?
Oh, I mean, I picked bottoms. The first one is probably a true bottom for me, and then the others are just like, I'll go into why. So the first one is Xena. And it's just like the Arabic chanting, the production on it almost pisses me off because it's like I'm having to listen to like the Dothraki screamers from Game of Thrones because he brings that like screamer sample in like constantly, and I'm like, all right. Yeah. It just was a no. It was probably the only one that was like a pure no for me, but yeah.
Yeah.
Next, I've got Good Space. The vocal samples on it just like aren't for me sometimes. And, you know, pick a bone with me if you want to pick a bone with me. Get your hand off the auto-tune, brother. I love you to death, but it's just like, for the love of fucking God. Some of it just like when that auto-tune hits on an already high-pitched voice, it sounds very like K-poppy to me, and I'm just like, I don't know. And then last I've got Too Bizarre, which I really fucking didn't mind the song. Like, I liked the song. It gets a little bit more on like the harder rock side. It like pays a little bit of an ode to that. But like all I could imagine was just these like dumb angsty teens in LA like making TikToks to it, and I like can't unsee it in my head.
Yeah. No, I totally feel that. Yeah, I put Too Bizarre. I only had two, and there's only one that I actively dislike, and it's Too Bizarre. And I love Sway Lee, and I love his voice, but when he like the chorus I like, but then he gets into the just repeat.
Yeah.
And it's like,
God,
it takes me out of it, man. And I hate it because I really love the beginning, and I love Sway Lee singing in the beginning, but then when he just repeats that fucking clip over and over again, it drags me out of it. And then Hazel Theme I put on there, which is weird because like I like the song, and like melodically it's a beautiful song, but I just kept waiting for something to happen. And then like it's only a minute and 50 seconds, and like a minute and 50 seconds goes by, and then it just ends. And I was like, all right, word.
You're like, okay, sick.
Gonna be a little more there. I got a little fucking blue balled.
Hazel got tired.
Yeah, so those are my bottom two. But man, as a whole, the album just is like one cohesive piece. It works so fucking well together, and I didn't expect. I was nervous because I think the album came out at the time that was kind of perfect for me because I'm like in my house phase right now, and so much of it is house music. But like I just love the direction he went with it. So it's been on repeat. I know he's going to be one of my top artists of the year, 100%. Like a friend of mine texted me, was like, Quest for Fire is like perfect gym music, and it's all I've been listening to. Well, when I don't forget my AirPods, it's all I've been listening to. So yeah, really fucking good. So Rolling Stone wrote an article. It's brief, and they don't actually give it a review, but they just say Skrillex keeps the energy up and the guest list open on Quest for Fire. The EDM pop superstar's second album features everyone from Missy Elliott to Fortet to Pete Wentz, but the real star is the Perpetual Motion Machine at its center. It's been 9 years since Sonny Moore released Recess, his first album as the EDM mastermind Skrillex. And while Quest for Fire is technically his second album, he's hardly been away from the spotlight. He's kept busy releasing a steady stream of singles and collaborative projects and producing tracks for chart toppers like Justin Bieber and Ed Sheeran, as well as next wave artists like Pink Panthers. He even reunited with From First to Last, the Warped Tour denizens he fronted at the height of the MySpace era. Skrillex's second album arrives as he occupies a fairly singular place within pop. Few artists out there could credibly announce a surprise show at Madison Square Garden in New York. Listening to Quest for Fire, though, shows how Skrillex has continuously expanded his sonic palette through his productions, remixes, and other work, particularly when it comes to finding beats. So they talk exactly what we talk about, just like the massive change that he went through. But we got to talk about this Madison Square Garden thing, because I don't believe that this was just thrown together last minute. I can't bring myself to believe that, right?
Anyone who's arguing that is R-worded. Like, there's no way. It's fucking Madison Square Garden. Like, come on.
Yeah, I just don't see that. Like, you have to fit that shit in between, like, basketball games, hockey games, other summer concerts.
That's insane.
There's no way. I mean, he announced it as a surprise and sold tickets as a surprise, which is still an impressive feat to sell it out. But like they've been planning this. They've been planning this.
Yeah, I'm calling Cat. I'm calling Cat.
I'm calling Cap on that.
I'm just like, yeah, there's no way. That would be like them saying the January 6th insurrection wasn't planned.
Right. Like, and we all know, dog, because I was involved in it, that it was planned. Like, we all know that.
Yeah, people were like hitting me up and they're like, surprise show at MSG, like how crazy. I'm like, it's not a surprise show.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I've been in DC since January 3rd. What the fuck are you talking about, surprise?
I do think it looked fucking insane.
It looked insane. And the pop-up set they did afterwards, I think probably was like kind of hastily thrown in there at the end, which I think is pretty sick. They did it in Times Square. Which,
First
off, how do you even do that? Like, how do you just tell, like, who do you go to the city of New York? Like, yo, we're going to shut down the block for a few hours to play a show. I think that shit was sick as fuck.
They're probably just like, it's so populated, no one gets anything done around here anyways. Like, run it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Quest for Fire, what do you rate it out of 10?
I'm going a 9, and that might be my highest rating on the pod so far. I think my only bone that I would really pick on this that was a takeaway for me was the amount of production, was the amount of features pretty much.
That's fair.
Whereas when you go back and you look at the features, I mean, there might be 2, maybe 3 songs out of 15 that were just him for production.
One. There's literally one.
One. Yeah. So that took away a little bit for me. I'm all about, similar to kind of when Bassdoctor got in that phase of just like putting a bunch of people on, AKA ripping off their songs and then using them as himself.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of that, like, I'm all about like bringing people up, and that's kind of, what this album is, Still Here with the Ones That You Came With, and putting other people on is a really cool thing. 9 years you're coming back. I wish there were a little bit more that were just, production from him.
Yeah. No, I feel that for sure. It's the same thing. It's weird. It's like a little bit of a different mindset with electronic music when I see a bunch of features. Like, if fucking, I don't know, Jay-Z were to put out an album today and every track out of 15 had features, I'd be like, all right, man. Like, really? It's not even a Jay-Z album. But for some reason with electronic artists, it feels different because I feel like he's like really behind the scenes kind of maneuvering that whole process, like almost like a conductor. Like, I feel like he's just he's conducting the album, so it kind of works in a different way. But yeah, I got to agree with you. I'll give it a 9. Just because I don't know. I wish there was a little more diversity to it in the sense that like it is all kind of the same genre. I mean, apart from the Noisia track, but it works really well. So it's not anything I can really dock him that bad on because the album still is fucking great. It's just like 15 tracks. I mean, I think the album runs close to an hour. So listening to house music for that much, I mean, I can do it, but I can't do it every day. So it's just, that's one thing, that I'd knock off.
It's only 45 minutes.
Oh, really? Damn. I thought it was close to an hour. Yeah. There are some tracks on there. And that's another kind of small gripe is I wish some of the songs were longer, like when like the Missy Elliott song's 2 minutes, basically. It's like, man, I could have listened to that shit.
It makes it feel a little hectic and a little exhausting when it's just like you're getting into this like, oh, okay, you finally found kind of like the vibe of this track and you're really feeling something. That's like, all right, on to the next one. And as they are like a little similar, the difference is it's just like 2 minutes. Come on, dude. Yeah,
I saw a tweet that was like, why do 2 minute songs always hit the hardest? And it's true. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Like one of my favorite NBA YoungBoy songs is like 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And every time I'm like, I'm like really getting into it. And then it ends. Like, all right, word.
Yeah, sick. Appreciate it. Creates just an hour loop of the song.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that was Quest for Fire. Now let's get into I'm going to call it a companion album. It's only 33 minutes, so it kind of feels like it's tacked on at the end. Don't Get Too Close. So I don't know about you. It took me multiple listens of Don't Get Too Close to enjoy it. And I think it may have been just I was on this mindset of Quest for Fire, which goes incredibly fucking hard. And then Don't Get Too Close, like really slows shit down, really gets into sad boy vibes on multiple tracks, and kind of the whole mood shifts, which I'm glad that he didn't make it like a dual album or just make it all one album. I'm glad he split them up because the vibe change is insane. Like there's a shit ton of hip hop features on this, but the music itself really slows down. So when you first listened to it, I don't know if you listened to it Saturday night when I called you, I ended up listening to it front to back then, but what did you think going from Quest for Fire to this?
Yeah, I think kind of like you were saying, it really took me, I mean, probably 5 or 6 listens to really get into like understand like where this album was headed, especially with that preconceived notion of Quest for Fire. And so in my head, that's what I'm thinking. The complete shift. It's like I had heard people talk about this when he started promoting Quest for Fire, but alluded to 2, and they had all said that one's going to be a little heavier, one's going to be like more on the poppy side, and that delineation is obviously there. I swear, I was like, I think he has some like little uwu side piece, like in Japan or something, because like this is straight up like Japanese mommy milker music. I was like.
They need to make a new subgenre on Spotify, and it's just that album. Some fucking weeb is like after
yeah, I just felt like he was making the album like this, like, oh yeah, that's it. Oh wait, can we turn the treble up?
Oh woo,
can we turn the treble up a little? Yeah, that's it.
Like he's some guy like after watching like 6 hours of like Attack on Titan is like, I'm gonna go listen to Don't Get Too Close.
So yeah, I was just like, and then going into it, I think again it took away from me with all the features, and I was hoping that one of them wouldn't be so heavy when it came to that. So that took away a little bit, but all in all, I mean, I didn't love it as much, but there were still things that I loved about it.
Yeah,
at the end, I said it's literally an album for simps.
It is an album for simps. Well, it's not even.
No, it is.
This is what it is. It's an album for simps gone sad boy. Which first off would be a great name for an electronic artist, Simp Gone Sad Boy. That's my new DJ name, Simp Gone Sad Boy. But like, yeah, it is very much like it has that like kind of I'm sad about a girl vibe to it, which I really like. But yeah, it was. I mean, mentally, I had to shift, and I was not ready going from because I was literally listening to Quest for Fire when this dropped. So then I put that on, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was very jarring to go from that to the second album. But I do enjoy it. I thought that this was going to be a release. I think you had told us that there was more than one album like queued up. So I thought it was going to be released like, I don't know, fucking 6 months down the line or something. You know, I wasn't expecting that immediate release, but listening to them back to back, it makes way more sense for it to come out almost immediately after, because it feels kind of like the asterisk mark or like the closing chapter of what Quest for Fire was. So I am glad that he released them back to back. But what do you think? Do you think he should have waited, or does it make sense for him to release it now?
I mean, I think it makes sense. I'm kind of split on it. I personally wish he would have waited. Not even like for me or for fans or whatever, but mainly for the artists that he's worked with these songs for a very long time on. And a lot of them, you know, may they be underground or, you know, obviously not as popular as he is. It just kind of sucks. I mean, and you can see the difference from a streaming perspective, just like based on those numbers, it's astronomically different. And it kind of bums me out just a little bit for the artists that are on that second album, that I feel like the recognition of it isn't quite as much.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, I would have waited, you know, a month or something like that, and then built up that album as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think him releasing it like close to is perfect. I also thought that I knew there was going to be 2, but I thought he was going to do like this one came out at the very beginning of this year. I thought he was going to wait and like very end of the year. It's kind of this like culmination of a year.
Yeah.
So I was a little bummed that it was like just kind of random out of nowhere. And it's crazy that I'm saying that because I usually love shit like this where they don't really say anything and they drop it. But I think this was just very different.
No, I get that. Yeah, like part of me is glad that he kind of just released it unexpectedly the next day, because I feel like if I had time to basically like hype this up in my head and get really excited for it, and then it releases and it's this album, I feel like I would have been disappointed in it. Whereas like with it just dropping so quickly, you didn't really have time to kind of like process what was happening and build yourself up. You just had to go into it and listen to it like blindly. So I think that kind of worked to his benefit, but I don't know, like had it released like later, I could have, felt differently. So
I like freaked out and got extremely excited when you first told me, because the first track on the album is Don't Leave Me Like This, whereas for Quest for Fire, it was Leave Me Like This. So when I like clicked that matchup, I was like, oh, it's actually this dual album release and they're going to be reflections of each other in each song.
Right.
And then I realized that I was like a little bummed because I was like, that would have been fucking so crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting. He almost does that in a way, like Don't Leave Me Like This and Painting Rainbows. I don't remember. Like he kind of alludes to the other tracks from the first album and this one in various different ways, which I thought was cool. But yeah, I think that would have been really cool to kind of have like a different spin on every single song.
Each one.
Yeah. So what do you have for top 3?
Okay. So I had 3 a.m. and it was one that I think I listened to it. I was like, okay, I think I kind of like this. And I had to listen to it almost 8 times. And I just really enjoyed the vocals on it. It has this like bouncy, kind of like lullaby feel. I remember thinking like, damn, if I was like a baby in my crib, I'd be fucking bouncing my head to this. Like, this is kind of vibey.
Yeah.
And then let's see, 2, I have Don't Go. And I know that you can say whatever you want to say about it. And it being Justin Bieber, it is what it is. Okay. It fucking the song slaps and it's a guilty pleasure and it has been. So
I was about to say,
whatever.
Losing My Mind, or was this song released like years ago?
It was released a while back. Yeah.
That's
but
what
it's still kind of been on that guilty pleasure just playlist that I have. And so I had to toss it on there. And then Ceremony. It's like kind of similar to 3 a.m. It has this like ethereal kind of like lullaby feel to it that just like kind of rocks you.
Yeah.
That's my top 3.
So like I said, it was weird that when I first listened to this, it was really tough for me to pick out favorite songs because I didn't really enjoy it. And then I listened to it on the way to work today. I listened to it coming home from work tonight. And you know me, bro, in my scenarios. I'm very scenario based when I listen to music.
Very scenario based.
Riding home, it was like 55 degrees. I had the windows cracked and like it just it was real crisp. So the first one I had was Selecta, which to me reminded me of it was like typical. It was so funny. I talked to Trey on the way here and he was in Miami and I was like, dude, that's perfect Skrillex fucking environment. Like Miami's Skrillex territory. And I was listening to Select. I was like, I can just imagine like riding home on a Miami night, windows down, humid, just perfect environment to listen to that song. So it just put me in like a nice vibe. Ceremony, I also loved. 3, I don't have a ton to say about Ceremony. I do want to talk about 3 a.m. too, because Prentice, her vocals in this song, like she kills it. And
it's so good. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I liked it at Nod at first. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's like very much, she just brings this element to it. Hang on, I just want to play like a section of it real quick. Because... Can you hear this? Like she rides she rides the beat
so good,
so well, and like her voice that's got to be the highlight of the album for me. Like, and it is like it's weird. It has this upbeat like tendency, but it makes you want to bob your head, and you're kind of happy listening to it, but it's a sad song. Like it's kind of sad and happy at the same time. It's like there's a Post Malone song called Rich and Sad, and one time Carly was listening to it, and it's like really upbeat and like energetic, and like you're bobbing your head, but the whole song is about how like he's lonely and depressed despite having all this money and fame and success. And Carly was like, listening to it one time, she's like, this song's a bop. I was like, he's talking about how he wants to kill himself, but all right, word. So it's like, it kind of reminds me of that. So I really like the vibe. And then honorable mention was Mixed Signals with Sway Lee. It reminded me of With You Friends, Long Drive, off of Scary
idiot.
Monsters and Night Sprites. What do you mean?
It's horrible.
What? Shut
We'll
the
get
fuck
there.
up. Are you for real? Nah,
Well, it's
dude.
just, dude.
It's so,
It's
like,
just. I'll have
it's
my own bias
twinkly.
towards.
It's twinkly. It's like, it's this nice little twinkle, and it kind of like takes you on like an upbeat journey. And Sway Lee sounds great. You're fucking tripping, man. You know what? All right, let's roll into your bottom then. Let's hear it. Go ahead. Get it out of the way.
Okay. All right. So that one's. It's not. We'll get there in a minute. But for number one, it was bad for me. I said. This has got to be some of the fucking softest shit I've ever heard in my life. To be honest, I bet Trey is listening to this song on repeat in a dark room, just sitting there curled up in a little ball. It says, listen to this, hold up. My baby, you're bad for my health. You're bad for my wealth. You're bad for yourself. Maybe you should be with someone else. You shouldn't like me. Go on and love yourself. Like, just shut the fuck.
Okay, listen,
like, that
I thought
is.
we established a rule that you can't read lyrics like that because you're gonna make anything sound bad when you fucking say them like that. You can literally take a fucking, like, I don't even know. You can take a prolific like Biggie song and be like, I kicked in the door, waving the 4-4. Like, yeah, of course it sounds bad when you say it like that.
No, that's how it actually sounds on the album, though. So it's so fucking soft. I was like, this shit is like, just shut the fuck up. Like, you're bad for my health. You're bad for my wealth. Like, shut the fuck up. What?
Bro,
what?
She's taking all of his money. I thought that was clear. I thought that part was clear.
Please don't take all my money. Oh my.
Ooh.
Oh, please don't. Rifle.
Okay.
Don't take my money. All right, sorry. All right, we're back. We're back, and that leads me right into number two, Way Back. The vocals by Pink Panthers are just like fucking. They're just not it. I wasn't like huge on the. It's like this production that's like poppy drum and bass that I just like don't fuck with at all, and I really can't stand her vocals on it. I literally just picture like a bunch of Asian people in a tunnel, like taking videos of themselves, like this, and that's playing that's playing in the background
with a Snapchat filter that makes him look like, you know, like rosy cheeks and big eyes. Yeah.
And then number three is Mixed Signals. So sorry, but it's really just because I can't stand like steel drum, like island drums like that. I hate it.
That's fair. It's like, that is an acquired taste. It's like, sometimes it's a bit much. It's like, all right, man, I could have used the song without this, but whatever.
I felt like I was back fucking watching that stupid ass second Avatar movie again. I was like, oh God, here we go.
You know what fucking pisses me off is when I was with you and Ari the other day, I forgot to bring that up and roast both of you about how you don't like that movie. And I realized
she hated
after
it too.
You guys left, man, I'm fucking pissed. All right, I'm fucking furious.
We were with my roommate and his girlfriend, and we looked at each other after, and we were like, if we weren't there with him, we'd have left 10 minutes in.
Did they like it?
I can't tell. I don't think so.
Bro,
I didn't even give them time to respond. I literally, the second it ended, I've never left a movie theater so quick.
Y'all don't understand greatness, and that's fine. You know, that says a lot about you guys, and I'll just leave that where it is, okay?
Yeah.
So my bottom tracks were Way Back. We talked about this when he released it as a single. I like, because remember you said like, oh, I knew it was going to be shitty. I hate Trippie Redd. And I liked the Trippie Redd part. Like, I thought the Trippie Redd part was sick. And I like how it's like, I like him in general, but I like the sound on the song. And then, Pink Pantheress, I guess is how you say it, right? Pink Pantheress. I'm
not going to figure out how to say her fucking name.
That shit, nah. And like the beat is just repetitive and nah. This ain't it. This ain't it.
Guys.
So then I had Real Spring on here because, like, dog, what the fuck are you saying? Like, what is he saying in this song? I can't understand a word he's saying in the whole fucking song. Like, I try in the car. I'm playing it now in headphones. Like, he's like, like, what? Fucking enunciate your fucking words, man. I can't understand what he's saying.
Bad.
Fucking ruined the song for me. And then Don't Get Too Close. Wait, we're talking about bottom tracks, right? Did I say, wait, hang on. I'm confused because did I not say Summertime? Oh, I missed my honorable mention for top tracks because Summertime, the Kid Cudi song is on there, which I also really liked. I love
it. Was a close one for me. It was like almost something that would be a fucking summertime go-to. It was so close to being that for me. It just missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah, I think it was like it, and Cudi almost to the same degree. There's parts where I can't really understand what he's saying, but like his sad boy harmonics, his sad boy humming, like it like fits really well with the song. But when I played it, my friend was with me, who's like a huge Kid Cudi fan, and he was like, "All right, man, like, are you gonna fucking say anything? Or are you just gonna hum the whole goddamn song?" Like,
he's like, "No, I'm gonna hum."
Yeah, I'm just gonna hum.
I'm just gonna.
Anyway, yeah, Don't Get Too Close. I just don't. I don't like this song. I don't know what is going on in it. It's like something I think they would put in like fucking Blade Runner 2049. Like it's at the beginning, like Ryan Gosling like walking through dystopian LA, and it's just this song playing, and it just took me out, dude. I mean, I like it.
Yeah,
I like it towards the end, and I like her voice a lot. But then she sings for like a minute, and then she starts talking at one point, and then she's laughing, and it's like. The song wasn't a complete thought, and had it been a complete thought, I feel like it would have been. I would have really liked it, but yeah, bottom.
Nah.
So, what do you? 9. So I have listened to a lot of Kanye recently, so that's so somebody asked me a question. 9. Oh, sorry, listening to too much Kanye.
I actually saw this fucked up thing earlier. It said I was banging this German girl and she kept screaming her age. Nothing like a good old wholesome rape joke here at Totally Biased Music.
Yeah, now we can really get Lauren on the show. He'd love to get on. Talking about having sex with underage women, Lauren's gonna be all about that.
Oh God.
Okay, so where the hell were we? Oh, final ratings. What do you rate? Don't Get Too Close.
I think this one's gonna take a little bit longer for me to get more into and to find things that I like a little bit more about it. But right now, I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
That's fair. I think that's definitely fair. I got to lean toward. I was going to say the same thing, like a 7. I like it, and I think it complements. Another reason I'm glad it released so close to Quest for Fire is I think it complements that album really fucking well. Just having them go back to back. Had it released by itself, I don't think I would have had it as high as a 7, honestly. But I know I need to listen to it more because when I first listened to it, I didn't like it as much as I do now. So I think once I give it some more time, it'll grow on me a little bit more. But overall, good album. Yeah. It's no Quest for Fire, but it's a good album.
It is no fucking Quest for Fire. The craziest thing I forgot to even bring up for Quest for Fire that I thought was super interesting is his just complete change in sound. Even from like the heavier side, it felt like this kind of like washed out, like garagey electronic that sounded a little bit just like rougher, a little bit more like lo-fi, not so like fucking high, just like high fidelity fucking claps and fucking bangs. And it was washed out, but it works so fucking well. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. Quest for Fire is going to stay in the rotation 100%. So that was Quest for Fire, Don't Get Too Close, Skrillex dual album. If you haven't listened to it, seriously go listen. Even if you're not an electronic music person, I think there's something in there for everybody for real. And I don't say that lightly because it is electronic music and I know it's not everyone's jam, but man, there's some really good shit on here. So shout out to Skrillex. Glad that he made something he's proud of and that we all really, really enjoy. So it's good to have him back. Hopefully he goes on tour. That would be fucking sick.
Ooh.
Okay, do we want to talk Last of Us, or do we want to go Rides or Dies, Twitter takes, and then Last of Us?
Let's go Rides or Dies and Twitter takes and Last of Us. We can end with that because there's a lot to break down.
Yeah, true. Okay. So, oh shit, I got to share system fucking audio. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. All right, Christian, tell us about your song.
So this is one I found actually a really long time ago. And then Ari, I think, kind of refound it, or we were listening to something. She was like, "You've never showed me this." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I have." And it is just, there's something about like at the 30-second mark when those vocal samples come in and it goes dim the lights, that like euphoria just washes over my body. It's just a fucking just chill cruising type of track.
Hell yeah. Let's let it ride. I'll fast forward. Hell yeah. I fucking dig it. I think it would be like music that I would hear at like an underground bar in Denver, right? Like underground.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, they're trying really hard to fit like the old like hidden bar vibe, the old speakeasy, but it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
And they're playing this song and you're like, all right, they nailed the vibe here and they nailed the soundtrack for it. So I really like it. It was a good choice. I don't know who the fuck LBL is.
So I have no idea. And I tried to go find, like, anytime I find a song by an artist, I kind of dive in, and there's not a single other song that I enjoyed by him. So don't go check this artist out. But this one song rips.
Ride that song. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So yeah, I give it a rides. My song was Alleyways by J1 and Dr. Disrespect. So Dr. Disrespect is actually a video game streamer, okay? But his side project is he makes synthwave music, like 80s synthwave music. So he has a shit ton of tracks like this. This one I like in particular. It's kind of more of a slower song. He has some heavier synthwave songs with drops and shit, but he does the vocals on it. So I'm going to let it ride here for a second. Okay, I wanted to get the drop in there. What'd you think?
So, you know what this is, like this clash, you know, Calm Truce?
Yeah, yep.
I've sent you some of his stuff. It's very much like that meets like good Phil Collins vocals. It's got
Nice.
this like in the air tonight kind of feel to it, but it's like very Stranger Things-y.
Yep.
It heavily rides. I was like, immediately, the second you sent it to me, I was 10 seconds in, I put it on like my winter 2023 playlist.
Fuck yeah. I'm actually surprised. I didn't know if you'd feel it or not. I didn't know if that was your type of music, but yeah, I dig this one a lot. It's got a good vibe to it for sure.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Okay. So that was Rides or Dies. I will link the tracks below. And now we're going to an interesting segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the one and only Blake's terrible Twitter takes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we did not.
He's gonna lose his goddamn mind.
We did not champion Trey for this. We didn't get him to send tweets. We rode solo with this one. So look, if it's not as good, fucking suck our dicks. All right, we tried our best. It's not our segment. Okay, we're doing our best over here. Okay,
it is. It's our segment now.
So, I got one tweet here from Twitter user Corn @Upblist. He said, North Korea, enough with the threats already. Just drop the bombs and watch what the fuck happens. We ride or die for this country. And then he responded, and tell them bitch ass Russia N-words. We ready for them too, pussy.
Honestly, though, yeah, like if you're gonna jump, motherfucker.
Yeah,
like, what are
that's
y'all
I'm
waiting
saying.
for?
Stop with this bullshit. Stop with this will they or won't they. I'm tired of it. It's not an episode of Friends.
Yeah.
This isn't Ross or Rachel. Fucking figure it out and commit, okay? But,
Yeah, luckily we're pretty centrally located, so that we'll probably be good here in the middle of the United States. So.
It does bring up an interesting point. Shania and I are watching The Americans. Do you know what that show is? It's an FX show.
Oh, yeah, that old FX show? Fuck yeah.
So it's all about Soviet spies in the U.S. and like they're so gung ho about like defending their country and like everything's about like the motherland and like I don't care how great America is, like I got to stand up for the motherland, bro. Me, no chance. I go to spy in another country. The second I get there, they serve me a meal I like. I'm out. I'm like, fuck America.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work it.
Who gives a shit? Freedom? No, thank you. Sign me up for communism.
Okay, so this one is from Nick Mullen at NYC Guido Voice, and this one I picked specifically. This one I picked specifically for you, Christian.
Okay.
Saying, "quote Houston, we have diarrhea" loudly in a public stall. Because
fuck yeah,
I can absolutely see you doing that.
Yeah, just for our listeners out there, I've been getting into this weird thing. I don't know what's been going on, but when I rip a fart, I pretty much say out loud that old school SoundCloud sample from rap mixtapes that's, damn, son, where'd you find this? And I have no fucking clue what is wrong with me. How I have a girlfriend is beyond me.
Okay, this is another one from Nick Mullen. And this, I always love a timely, tragic event joke. So there was a shooting in El Paso recently, and Nick tweeted immediately after, "This mall shooting is just another reminder that no one could ever commit a mass shooting on Amazon.com. I know he gets a lot of hate on here, but I'm really grateful for Jeff Bezos tonight."
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, I got two more.
All right, bring
this one is it's a screenshot, so I don't know the name of the Twitter user. So sorry, I'm blatantly ripping this person off. But all it says is, "Sometimes I call the number on the dog missing posters and just bark."
It's so fucked up. It's just some kid that answers too.
Yeah, he starts crying.
Yeah.
Okay, and this one is one that I think that we can all relate to. It just says, this is from Twitter user Slappy, at Slappy, spelled with a V, but it says, "She's doing good without me. Let me text her, I miss you."
Every time.
Every fucking time. Okay, so that was Blake's terrible Twitter takes. We hope you guys enjoyed. It was a quick one, but you know what? I'm just not built for this, So I did my best, and accept me for who I am. All right. Oh wait, hang on. Oh,
great job.
Yeah, crowd loved it. Okay, so let's jump into The Last of Us. So like you said, we have a shit ton to talk about, so we'll try to get through it as quick as we can because we're coming up on an hour. But we haven't talked about episodes 4, 5, or 6. So 4, we don't have to harp on a ton. It was very much like a build-up episode to everything that happened in 5. 5 and 6. Okay. There's a lot that happens in 5 and 6. So 5, well, at the end of 4, we meet Henry and Sam. And then episode 5, we spend with Henry and Sam. Henry and Sam stuck in Kansas City. They want to get out. Henry, the older brother, Sam, who's deaf, they're trying to find a way out of the city. They used to be informants for the government. So they team up with Joel and Ellie and devise a way for them to get out. So they get out of Kansas City. They get to a scene where they're trying to escape. They're being shot at from a sniper. It's a whole bunch of fucking crazy shit. And then the episode, heavy spoiler alert. If you guys have not watched this, please fucking turn the podcast off. End of the episode, one of the most tragic deaths in television you'll ever fucking watch. Sam gets infected, wakes up in the morning, is clearly infected. Henry kills him, realizing what he does, kills himself. So what do you think of episode 5, Christian? Where is it rate among the episodes you've seen, and what did you think as a whole when you watched it?
Out of the episodes I've seen, it's nowhere close. I think the best thing about it is there have been these kind of hints of just like raw human connection and like highlighting on that through the show where that like almost is, you know, it's starting to create that theme. But this episode, I mean, really fucking brings that home. You start to see like Joel opening up a little bit, the connection between Ellie and Sam, and even with Joel and Henry going back and forth and slowly starting to create this like this bond of friendship and realizing of like the bad things that they've done doesn't make them bad people. Trying to kind of come out of the other side of that was just fucking gut wrenching throughout. I mean, I thought it was just insanely beautiful, and leading up to, first off, he takes the sniper out. Like once they finally make it through, he takes the sniper out, but then the whole fucking city comes and they're looking for Henry. In the truck, it fucking explodes. And it was one of the craziest fucking zombie horde scenes I've probably ever seen. I was like screaming at the television. And when that big motherfucker came out.
Yep, the fucking bloater.
I was like,
oh my God.
Dude. But just, so I don't know who the actor is that plays Henry, but that last however many minutes of that episode, I was fucking floored after he like has to kill Sam and is like in pure shock and the acting. I have no words.
Yeah.
And then pulls the trigger and kills himself. It was just, and I think even at the end with just these small things that Ellie's having to experience and see are like really starting to catch up. And I think in that scene, like it was very, very evident that things like aren't okay. Yeah. Whereas she's been kind of trying to act tough and all this stuff throughout, and her laying down that like scribble notepad of "I'm sorry" when she was trying to help Sam. Like,
God, I forgot about that. That shit ripped me, dude.
Gutted me.
Holy fuck, yeah. I just got chilled. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, a lot of people have talked about, I've seen after the episode, have talked about her reaction, like just her facial expression when he kills Sam is honestly like kind of this moment where you realize like she is affected by all this shit too. Like she looks horrified. Yeah. Like you can just tell it's really gotten to her. And I was talking to my friend Sam about, like you said, this human connection element has been throughout these episodes, but what these writers do so well and what you didn't have a chance to experience in the game is they have the ability, the writers on this show are amazing in the sense that Ellie and Sam spent 30 minutes together, essentially. That's what you watch. You watch 30 minutes, but they build such a real connection between them that when he dies, like, you're gutted for her because you felt like it was somebody that was a friend to her, like somebody she finally had a connection with. And they make that writing so well in a way that I don't think a lot of shows are able to do. Like, they just can't write character dynamics that are that deep in such a small amount of time. And when we saw that in episode 3 as well. So the episode as a whole was written so well. I will say in the game, there is a scene that I wish they would have put in this game, but when they're trying to escape from Kansas City, they don't go underground. They go underground at one point, but the initial escape is they're all running in that big ass truck with the run written on the front of it. Is chasing them like through, like down a bridge where all these abandoned cars are. So they're shooting at them and they're having to duck behind cars and all this shit. And they get to like the bridge is broken off and there's a river underneath them. And Ellie's like, we have to jump. And she can't swim. I think they say that in the show. And Joel's like, you can't swim, like blah, blah. And they're getting closer and closer. And she's like, we don't have time to discuss this, and just launches herself off the bridge. And so they fucking send it into the river. Yeah. And he has to like get her, and then they get knocked unconscious. The sequence is fucking crazy. So I felt like in a sense we were robbed of what could have been a really cool fucking sequence, but they replaced it with moments where they got to build those relationships and build those connections. So I think it was a good trade-off, but I would have loved to have seen that. But yeah, I mean, strongest episode of the series for me, 100%.
Easily.
Yeah, no doubt.
Easily. But if that's like any reflection of like where the show is going, like, do you know how many episodes it's going to be?
There's only going to be 9. So there's 3 left.
Fucking hold on.
Yeah, it's going to get fucking crazy. So, episode 6, they finally meet up with Joel's brother. This, they kind of deviate from the game a good bit, but they meet up with Joel's brother. Joel's brother has essentially lived out his days in a commune. They've built a city. They have electricity, water, all this stuff. His brother Tommy's married. So we get to meet them, meet the family, meet the commune. And at this point, Joel determines that it's best for Ellie to go on without him. Ellie overhears the conversation. And inside this episode is, I think, the first scene where you actually see Ellie not be a smartass. Like, her whole character is kind of just being a smartass, but then she has a conversation with Joel about how she overheard him saying that he wants to leave her, and you can tell that she's gutted by it. They have a discussion and then end up leaving together. They make it to Colorado, where they assume Fireflies are going to be that can work on a cure. Fireflies are nowhere to be found. And then at the end of the episode, Joel is stabbed, and the very last shot of the show is Joel laying on the ground, presumably dead. We don't know. And it cuts to black. So what did you think of episode 6?
I was fucking furious because it left me hanging.
Yeah, dude.
It was just, I mean, as far as the episode, like, it was fine. But it just felt like kind of one of those, like, in between fillers before we get to that, like, next bigger plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, the end, I was like, there's no way he's dead. Wait, blink if he dies in the game at this point.
I'm not saying anything.
What the fuck,
shit.
bro?
I'm not saying shit. I want you to wait in suspense, because I don't know if you watched the preview. The preview for the next episode, it doesn't tell you. Like, you can't tell if he's alive or dead. So, yeah, cliffhanger.
Great.
Yeah, I thought it was a good in between episode. I mean, it was cool to see a city and, like, relationships and how people had built a life. And I thought the communism scene was really funny when he's trying to explain to him, and Joel's like, "Oh, so it's like communism or some shit." And he's like, "Nah, it ain't like that." And she's like, "Actually, yeah, that's exactly what it is."
She's like, "That's exactly. Yep, this is a commune.
This is communism." They cut. It was weird. In the game, when they go to that science building in Colorado, you spend a significant amount of time there, and you learn a bunch about kind of where they went, why they went there, stuff like that. So they kind of fast forwarded through a lot of that, but I think it would have been hard to try to put it into like a show format. But I'm not going to say what happens next. I hope they stick to the game, but it gets real interesting coming up, and there's I can't really say anything else. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I thought both of them were good, but man, the show has really far exceeded expectations, and I'm glad that you like it, because I remember when we first talked about it, you were like, it's all right. But
dude, I'm so in. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, they've really fucking hit the nail on the head. So shout out to them. All right, we're over an hour, and I think we got into everything. So you got any last thing to add?
No, that was 9.
9. Okay. So I think the album for next week, we're doing Pure Heroin by Lorde. And I told Trey, so he's going to listen to it. So if you haven't listened to it recently, I'm sure a lot of you have already listened to it, but if you haven't listened to it recently, give it a run. Great album. We'll be talking about it next week. Thanks for tuning in for just the Christian and Blake episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.